In this episode, we're diving into the fascinating world of negotiation, specifically Fenn Tafawud, the art of negotiation. Lily, you've been studying this topic extensively, haven't you? What initially drew you to this field?
Absolutely, Sophia. What initially captivated me was the sheer universality of negotiation. It's not just about high-stakes business deals or international treaties. It's woven into the fabric of our daily lives. From haggling at a market to negotiating a salary or even deciding what to watch on Netflix with a roommate, we're constantly negotiating. And understanding the principles behind effective negotiation can dramatically improve our outcomes in all these areas. It's a powerful life skill.
I completely agree. It's empowering to know that you can approach any situation requiring compromise with a structured approach rather than just winging it. So let's break it down. What are some fundamental principles of Fenn Tafawud, or the art of negotiation, that you find most impactful?
Well, preparation is absolutely key. Before you even enter a negotiation, you need to understand your own goals, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, and what you're willing to concede. Knowing your bottom line is crucial, but so is understanding the other party's needs and interests. It's not about winning at all costs. It's about finding a solution that works for everyone involved. Effective negotiators understand this crucial distinction.
That's a great point about BATNA. For our listeners who might not be familiar with that term, could you elaborate on its significance?
Absolutely. BATNA stands for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. It's essentially your fallback position. What will you do if the negotiation fails? Having a strong BATNA gives you leverage. If you know you have a good alternative, you're not as pressured to accept a poor deal. It allows you to walk away confidently if necessary. It's your safety net.
That makes perfect sense. So it's not just about what you want, but also having a plan B. What about the actual process of the negotiation itself? What are some effective strategies?
Active listening is paramount. It's not enough to just hear what the other party is saying. You need to understand their perspective, their underlying motivations, and their concerns. Asking clarifying questions is vital here. Empathy plays a huge role. Trying to understand their point of view, even if you don't agree with it, helps build rapport and trust. This fosters a collaborative atmosphere, which is much more conducive to a successful outcome.
I love how you emphasize empathy. It's so easy to get caught up in our own positions that we forget to see things from the other side. It really changes the dynamic. What about the art of compromise? Is it always necessary to meet halfway?
Not necessarily, Sophia. Compromise is certainly a valuable tool, but it shouldn't be seen as the only path to a successful negotiation. Sometimes, creative solutions can be found that benefit both parties without requiring either side to completely concede their position. Think outside the box. The key is to focus on finding mutual gains, areas where both parties can achieve their goals.
That's a brilliant point. It's about collaboration, not just compromise. Thinking creatively and identifying shared interests can unlock much more mutually beneficial outcomes. Now let's talk about the emotional aspects of negotiation. How can we manage our own emotions and deal with potentially difficult or even aggressive negotiators?
This is crucial. Negotiations can get tense, and it's easy to let your emotions get the better of you. Maintaining composure is vital. Take deep breaths, pause before responding, and try to separate the person from the problem. Remember that even aggressive negotiators are usually driven by underlying needs and interests. Addressing these underlying concerns can often help de-escalate the situation.
And if the other party is being particularly difficult, are there any techniques to navigate that?
Well, one technique is to use principled negotiation, focusing on the objective merits of the issue rather than getting drawn into personal attacks. This approach keeps the focus on the problem itself and seeks to find a solution based on objective standards or principles, rather than letting emotions dictate the outcome. It's a more rational approach, separating the emotional aspects.
That sounds really effective. It's like creating a framework for the discussion, preventing it from getting too personal. Let's say you're negotiating a salary. What strategies would you employ?
In salary negotiations, research is paramount. Knowing the average salary for similar roles in your area is essential. Have a clear understanding of your worth and be prepared to justify your requested salary based on your skills and experience. Be confident, but also realistic. Remember that salary negotiations are a two-way street. It's a conversation, not an ultimatum. Be prepared to listen to the employer's perspective and find a compromise that works for both of you.
Absolutely. Confidence is key, but it's not about arrogance. It's about presenting your case clearly and respectfully and knowing your worth. Now, let's imagine a situation where you're negotiating the purchase of a car. What would be your strategy?
In car negotiations, research is again vital. Know the market value of the car you're interested in. Check online resources and compare prices from different dealerships. Go prepared to negotiate, having your BATNA clearly defined. Perhaps you have another car you're equally interested in, or you're fine with not buying a car at all. Don't be afraid to walk away if the deal isn't right. It often strengthens your negotiating position. Remember that car dealerships often have room to negotiate. They're usually willing to give a discount or throw in extra features to close a deal.
That's fantastic advice, Lily. It highlights the importance of being prepared regardless of the context. What about when negotiations go wrong? What are some ways to handle a failed negotiation?
Sometimes, despite our best efforts, negotiations don't end the way we hoped. If this happens, it's crucial to not take it personally. Analyze what happened, what went wrong, and what you could have done differently. This self-reflection is invaluable for improving your negotiation skills in the future. Learn from your mistakes and move on. The experience itself is a valuable lesson.
Exactly. It's about learning and growing from every experience. Every negotiation, whether successful or not, offers valuable lessons for the future. Speaking of lessons, I've been meaning to ask you, what's the most important thing you've learned about negotiation, something that's truly shaped your understanding?
For me, the most important lesson is that negotiation isn't a battle to be won or lost. It's a collaborative process aimed at finding a mutually beneficial solution. Focusing on building relationships and understanding the other party's needs is far more effective than employing aggressive tactics. Building rapport creates a foundation of trust, which is essential for successful negotiation.
That's a profound insight. It really changes the perspective. It highlights that successful negotiation is as much about relationship building as it is about strategy. It's about creating a collaborative atmosphere where both parties feel heard, understood, and respected. It reminds me of a joke, actually. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field.
That's a good one, Sophia. It's a reminder that even in seemingly simple situations, understanding the principles of negotiation can bring significant advantages.
Precisely. So to wrap things up, Lily, what's your final message for our listeners regarding Fennet Tafawud?
My final message would be this: embrace negotiation as a skill to be learned and honed. It's a lifelong journey, not a destination. By understanding the principles we discussed, preparation, active listening, empathy, creative problem solving, and understanding your BATNA, you can significantly improve your outcomes in all aspects of your life. Don't be afraid to practice, learn from your experiences, and always strive for mutually beneficial solutions. And remember, even if a negotiation doesn't go exactly as planned, there's always something valuable to learn from the process.
Excellent advice, Lily. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and insights with us today. I hope our listeners found this exploration